Hello everyone, I'm Debbie Polachek. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a project with our card with our free as a bird stamp set. This is going to be more of an advanced project, but our little birds are in 3D and I'll show you how we'll be doing that. We're going to make like a picture frame around the outside edge, and we've got some window sheet behind there so it looks just like a picture. For instructions of how to make the picture frame will be a link at the end of this video at the top of the screen, so just click on that and it'll take you to how to make the picture frame. I will be needing a piece of the inside of the card, which is very vanilla, 5 1/4 by 4. Going to be for the inside of the frame here. Inside of the frame and the window sheets needs to be 3 1/2 by 5. And this is from this piece of paper here. Is now I think a piece of like a wood grain thing, really anything that you would want to use on this outside of the frame. Cut your piece of desired paper 6 by 4 3/4. Be sure to look for the link at the end of the video of how to complete the frame. And our cardstock for our card base is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. I used Cajun Craze as my card base, and I stamped this piece of cardstock, which is on very vanilla, which is 3 1/2 by 5. And this is all done in Whisper White. I stamped the birds on Whisper White, and I need I think I'm going to use 2 of the leaves here, and just 1 of the big flowers and 2 of the little buds. I stamped my image on the Avery ID labels. It's a big 8 1/2 by 11 inch sheets, and they can be cut to any size you want. And I did go ahead and stamp that on there, and I cut the inside of my birds, leaving, in other words, the only thing I want to cut out is the part that his belly's on. Leave the area that you would be coloring blue on the mask. And also another item that I purchased, I think they might have these at Walmart. I do have an Amazon link below of these that I ordered through Amazon, and we will be using our markers that are light and dark Rococo Rose, and the Old Olive, light and dark, and some Winka Stella, and also the light and dark of the Soft Suede. I also used the light Pretty Peacock. We'll be using some Stylist. I'm going to use my big Stylist, and also a hot glue gun. I'm going to use this hot glue gun because it has a little skinny tip, and we need just a very little bit of hot glue for this project, little dots of it, so I'll show you what I mean later as we go, because these little images are so tiny that you don't need much glue. In order to do our little birdie background, the only thing I'm going to paint on here is the leaves. I'm using the light, and I'm going to go ahead and do the dark just a little bit, probably right in the center of those leaves. Just give it a little bit of shadow. The light rose color, but I have a hard time seeing it. just do those little flowers. And I'm going to touch it just a little bit with the dark in the centers, if there is a center. That one doesn't have a center. I'm going to take my light soft suede and go across the top of the branch. I use the bullet in when it's a little small area like that. And then the dark on the bottom of that branch. Okay. Now, on this card right here, I'm going to figure out on this card which ones I want to raise up. So in other words, I don't have to paint all of them, but I want to paint some of them because I'm going to cut them out and use them to give it a little bit of a 3D look here. And probably maybe use, I don't know if I'll use those or not, but use maybe those two. And I'll do the light green and dark green like I did on the other one. And I'm going to just do the ones that I will cut out and use. I think I'll use that as a whole little deal. And maybe those and this one. And maybe this one and this leaf. In other words, I won't be using all the leaves, just some of them. Get a little bit of dark to this. Now actually, a good idea on these is to go outside the line a bit, because it's going to be a little hard to cut if you're trying to cut right on the line. So go ahead and go outside your line a little bit on these. Okay. Go outside your line. Now, on my mask, let's go ahead and do our, no, we don't need to do our stems here. We're going to do our little birds. The first thing on our little birds is I'm going to go ahead and again, it won't matter, just if it's outside the line, just do a little bit of the soft suede. I think I have the light. It wouldn't matter if it's the light or the dark. And do his little beaks. Okay. Then, oh, we're going to need a blue yet too. Peacock. Pretty peacock. So I'm going to just color the top. Again, outside the line of each one of their heads. I'm going to color their wings. See, these are wings here. I don't think that one really has a wing there, but this one. And he's got a wing here. And his tail, their tails are blue too. Okay. Now, the reason I'm doing this technique here is because getting that white belly with our markers is pretty difficult. So it makes it a lot easier if you can use this mask. And instead of the little sponge dauber this time, since this is such a small area, we will be using that smallest brush in here. The Cajun Craze ink pad here. I'll go ahead and move this out the way so I don't get none on there. Now, not that I was so concerned that I made this mask about getting the ink on the background. It was that this mask, to me, actually helps keep their little blue heads blue, okay? And plus, when you start on this piece of paper here, the way that you need to shade them is you got to start at the top, basically. And really, the lighter the touch, the better the shading will be. And just like any other time that you sponge, if you start on the paper itself and then move into it, it looks the best for the softest blend. So what I'm working on is on the outside, trying to leave his little belly completely white. They are a little bit of this orangey color underneath their wings there, and down their throat through this area, but their bellies are white. Okay, so this one, same thing. I'm going to start at the under the neck, under the head, work my way down around the edges. In comparison to the rest of the area, the ink that's on your mask looks like you won't be doing it dark enough, but when you take the mask off, there will be color there. So don't be scared if your color doesn't look like it's dark enough, because it probably will be dark enough. And if it's not, you can always put the mask back and do it more. Little short strokes. Okay, that should do it. Okay. Now I'm going to also take my little, these little flowers. I'm going to only worry about this one. And I'm going to color this the light pink. And again, all over. The light green. Okay, and take a little bit of the dark green. Run it down the middle. Go ahead and use a little bit of the soft suede on the stem. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut my little birds out. I'm going to cut each one of my little birds individually. I'm going to cut these sleeves. I'm going to try to keep the group of these together and see if that'll work. My leaves and these. Okay, so I'm going to fussy cut all those and I'll be back. Okay, I got all my little guys cut out. My leaves, all the stuff cut out that I stamped on white paper. And I also stamped the inside of my card with the sentiment and the two leaves. And now we're ready to put this together. Okay, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Wink of Stella and I'm going to paint all the little flowers. Of course, these that aren't showing, you don't have to do, but all the little flowers with my Wink of Stella. So I'm going to take my piercing mat, my little birds over on the back, and just a very light mist of the water. I got one of these fancy sprayers, so I can just make a very light mist. Put those upside down on my mat. Take my big piercing tool and just give it a good squash right in the middle of their bellies. Kind of roll at the edges because I want those smooth as I possibly can have them. Fruit flies. Okay, next I'm going to take my hot glue gun and a silicone mat, and I'm going to put a dot of glue right in the center of each one of those birds. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to squish it till I see the outside edges are pretty well hitting the silicone mat. Okay. Do the other one the same way. Flip it over. This glue gun with this tip that I have, I have it set at about 205. It needs to be set a little higher because of that small nozzle. Okay, the same thing. I'm trying to make it as flat as I can. If I happen to get too much glue and it goes out on the outside, all I have to do is wait till it cools and I can trim it off. But try not to get too much because you don't want it up too high. Your aim is just to get it poofy, the little fat birds. Okay, on this one I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of dimension. And actually my little bitty single flowers that are cut from here, I'm going to go ahead and curve those a little bit. My flowers, I mean my leaves. Go ahead and curve all the leaves however you want to. Just to give them a little bit of dimension. Just kind of knock that up a little bit so we'll give it some dimension. The same with this one. I'm going to put a little bit inside. This one I'm going to go ahead and cut it apart a bit. Not all the way to the center, but almost. Just to give it a little bit more dimension and then it being all stuck together here. Take it here. Push in the center of each one of those tops of those petals, and then down in the center. Kind of curve in each one of those petals. Okay, these should be cooled off enough that we can put our little birdies on our picture here. And like I said, see this one, I have a little bit of glue on the outside edge. I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. I'm going to put just a little bit more, and not much, just a little bit, just enough to make it stick on the back of here. And he's going to go right over the top of that stamped image. Trying to cover up as much of the lines as I can. Okay, I got all my little birdies glued on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue some of these leaves on here. Just a little dot of glue there. Just to give it a little bit of dimension. After you complete this part of the project, it would be a good idea to run your heat gun and melt all those little spider webs from the glue gun. Now I'm gluing my framed image on top of the card base. Okay, now I'm going to hot glue and try to keep the hot glue away from the window sheet, so when I put the hot glue on, I'll go ahead and put it here. And try not to put my strings across that window sheet, especially, and if it's dry, well then that's okay, or it cools off, but definitely not when it's hot. So I'm going to put one here, a little bit of glue on each one of those leaves. So I'm going to put my little buds. Right now at the top of this video is the link how to make the frame. So go ahead and click on that link now. That's our card for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.